So I'm deciding to do this because I have been really struggling with perfectionism my entire life, but I didn't really become aware of it until 2017, and how much it has held me back, how much it hurts me, how much it stresses me out. And then I see how, like, it is so reinforced in our world, like, not only was it a trauma response for me, in a way for me to control things and feel safe in that control, or at least, the illusion of control. And make me appear better than others, or more worthy, or more worthwhile. I still ended up, crumpling under the weight of what that stress and what that pressure that I put on myself. I'm not saying these things right. And that's something that you're going to come to discover here. Any video I post here, there's not going to be anything produced. It's not going to have effects. It's not going to be anything like you've ever seen before. And I'm sure that there are other people out there that talk and they have it all right and it's all perfect and it's all planned out. I might write some things down in a brief overview or guideline at some point, but I'm still going to make mistakes. I'm not going to say things right. They're not going to be perfect because, again, it's feeding into that perfectionism that has robbed me of so many good things in my life for so very long. And I'm going to take pauses and I'm going to breathe. I'm doing this for myself, but I hope that at some point it might help my children. I hope that at some point it could potentially help even one other person. Because that's where I'm really struggling. Is that I feel like I have so much to give. I have so much to share. I have learned so much. I have so much to learn still. And I don't ever get to share that with anyone. The people around me who know me best. It just doesn't, they don't need it, I guess. Or they're numb to it. They're too close to it. I don't know. But they don't typically give me the words and the feelings and the expression that I have typically come to find on social media with people around the world who will take time to say something every now and then that just was like, wow, I never thought of it this way. This is really helpful. I really needed to hear this. I really needed to read this. I really needed to see this. And so that's what I'm hoping to do here, is that I'm creating a space where you're allowed to be imperfect, perfectly imperfect, and not even that, imperfectly perfect. Where we think about things from perspectives outside of our own. We consider things from outside of our own perspective, however that happens, because, again, that is something that we'll all fail at, but we at least have to try to do. We have to start doing things for ourselves, because so much of what I see out there is for others. We have to do something. We have to express from a place inside of us that is eternal, that is deep, that is vast. That connects us beyond all time and space. We have to remember and know the truth of who we are and what we're here to do. And that's to be in relationship with others, contrast, so we know what we do and what we do not want, what does and does not work for us. We have to mess up, we have to make mistakes, and we have to learn from our mistakes. That's the only sin, is repeating mistakes and never learning from them. We have to breathe. We have to be intentional. We have to share. We have to give. We have to receive. We have to be still. We have to be guided. But that divine source that lives within all forms and all space, the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown here on earth. It's living in perfect symbiosis with all forms and all space. We have to get in touch with that side of us more. We are so lost in ego. I can be so lost in ego, in logic and thought. And it's too human heavy. We need to get back to more balance between the eternal soul, the eternal energy, whatever you want to call it, and the self, the temporary self that is human, driving this meat suit for a little while. It's what I hope to do here. I hope to reach the people that have changed my life. You know, we always expect experts to do that, like somebody like a rock journalist or a critic should tell us how to think or feel about something that we're enjoying, and it's such total BS. How an artist, how a musician, how a filmmaker, how a writer, how a poet has shaped me into the person that I am today, and me expressing that truth, I think there's nothing more valuable. There's nothing more valuable to me. I want to hear people's stories. I don't want to hear some so-called expert. I want to hear the people living their lives and having their lives changed, having their minds changed, having their hearts changed, having their soul, their eternal energy changed by other human beings. That's what I want to experience. That's what I want to know about. So maybe if I do that here in a raw, unedited, free-flowing way, it will inspire others to do the same, and we will get away from this archaic, dying paradigm that I am not interested in. I'm just not interested. I don't want to hear from experts. I want to hear stories. I want people to hear my stories, the things that have changed me, the things that moved me, the things that stopped me in my tracks. And in a knowingness that I would never be the same after experiencing them. That's the stuff that I'm going to take with me when I leave this body. I don't get to take any physical possessions, but my soul is recording everything. And everything that moves me to tears, that moves me to change, that moves me to think differently, see differently, consider differently. These are the things that matter. These are the things that matter to me. God, I really hope that they matter to my children, that they matter to the people that I love. I hope this resonates and reverberates and reaches the people that it's supposed to reach. We're here to do this work together. We are here to free ourselves from these layers upon layers instilled and encoded in us in those first 7 years that we spent in that theta state, in that hypnotic light state, absorbing and taking in everything and it turning into our subconscious. I'm releasing it so much more than ever before right now. And I'm feeling alone, even though I'm very much not alone physically. I'm just surrounded by people sometimes who don't understand the way that others do. And that's another reason why I'm doing this, because I just want that person out there who's feeling the way that I do about all of these things and so much more. Things that can't even be put into words, that can't be conveyed with words, but it can be felt in our throat, in our bones, in our blood, in our lymph, and experienced. In imagination and dreams. You're so not alone. It's impossible. It's perfect design by our source. Though yes, we are very much designed, these human bodies we're temporarily inhabiting are very much designed for touch. Very, very designed for communication, for connection. So much physical trust. So much physical touch. Trust, touch, trust, touch. I can't seem to get enough of that either. I want it so much. So much more than it seems like most people do. I find myself hugging myself a lot. And when I've waited for somebody to want to hug me and it just doesn't happen for days and days, I crawl into their laps. In desperation, and I just cling to them. Does anyone need to be held as much as I do? I think I'm going to start. I feel like it's a good idea to start with the people who have changed me the most. So that's what I'll do. I have 2 cats. What you're hearing in the background is their water fountain. Because, like me, they are Pisces. Born on February 22nd, 2022. And I'm looking at them sometimes during this video, and probably in future videos. But I do plan on doing some outside because it just feels right. I've had that in my awareness that I want to be outdoors for some of these because it just feels right. Like the first time I heard Sade in Mineral Wells, Texas, at Lake Mineral Wells at the state park during a camping trip, my very first camping trip. I don't know, maybe I should go there, huh? Maybe I should do that from there, but if I can't, I'm not going to stress myself out over it because we can't always do the things we want to do, but that doesn't mean it should stop us from doing the other things that we want to do, which is get all this out there. Share, express, get this out of my body because holding it in is hurting me. It is hurting me to hold all this in, and I keep holding it in because I don't think anyone's going to care. But it's just a lie. It's a lie. My mind lies. Saw this amazing meme the other day about that, about how you should never listen to your mind. It's always lying, but your body is always telling you the truth. And I just couldn't agree with that more. Me and my mind have gotten myself into a lot of trouble, a lot of surgeries, a lot of pain, a lot of things that the body did not feel good about. So I'm going to start following my body more, and I feel so much better right now, 17 minutes in, than when I started, because I was fighting this. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. But my body kept saying, do it. So here I am doing it. There's so many people in my life that I know very little to nothing about, especially people that were in my life and are no longer in this life. Because they didn't think anybody would care. They didn't think anybody would listen. They didn't think anybody would share. They didn't think they mattered. They just kept going along with the business as usual that everyone else was doing, and they slowly or quickly killed themselves, literally and figuratively, and just they bought into all the traps, to all the rat race traps, to all the capitalist traps, patriarchy traps. I guess patriarchal is the right word, and I'm not against anybody. I'm for all things that are rooted in trust, gratitude, and love. And in our purest forms, that's everyone. That's all, everything in its purest form, and it's rooted in love form. I am tired of being anti-things. It's tiring. We don't need to be ignorant. We definitely need to understand how we're hurting ourselves and each other with things like plastics and microplastics and endocrine disruptors and food. All of that. More of that, way more of that than anyone probably really wants to think about, but they should. But I'm done being anti. I share what seems like needs to be shared for knowledge's sake purposes, for understanding when you may have had ignorance before, or I may have had ignorance before. But I'm not going to fear it. It's not going to control me. I'm going to lovingly and gently integrate it into my life, into my daily practices, without pressuring myself to do it perfectly, without pressuring myself to do it like somebody else would do it, without hurting myself, hopefully without hurting other people, but there's only so much of that you can do. People are going to take what they take and do what they do and feel what they feel. And can't mitigate that anymore. Can't even try. Because it doesn't matter how much I purify my intentions and my motivations and my words, no matter how gentle I make myself and more palatable I make myself, if somebody wants to see me as the bad guy, they're going to. That much I've learned. So why spend all that time and effort and energy trying to be perfect for them and perfect for myself when it was never going to work in the first place? I can't do it anymore. I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to share myself. I'm not waiting for a perfect skin day. I'm not doing it. I'm not waiting for a perfect hair day. I'm not doing it. I'm not waiting for the right anything anymore. The right now is the right now. It's right here and now. And it's going to be messy. We're going to have words fall out of our mouth that don't make sense. They're going to get jumbled. And that's okay. We're going to pause when it feels right. And that's okay. I don't feel the pressure to need to fill every freaking moment with a word, especially if it's failing to come to me, because I'm trying to force it instead of allow it to flow. I'm going to be ugly and I'm going to be beautiful all at the same time, like I always have been. I'm going to be short and tall, thin and fat. My Instagram used to be sorry, see? I'm not sorry, but there's conditioning happening right there for you. It was the between, O-M, between. Because I've always been in the middle. My grandmother even had a prophetic word from what she believes is Jesus. And I do believe in Jesus being a master teacher on this earth, but he's not the only master teacher on this earth. He was not the only one. But he was the ultimate one, trying to teach us that everything he was capable of doing, we are capable of doing, and more. So much more. And somebody, of course, figured out how to twist that into a greedy, evil, ugly thing that Jesus would never participate in. Because that happens here on earth. There's space for that here. I have to remember that too. Because I forget that Jesus was friends with all the rejects, all the outcasts. He did not. How he didn't get annoyed by them, first of all, is like beyond my comprehension. But I guess that's where unconditional love comes into play. Because when you love yourself unconditionally, no matter how ugly you are, no matter how messy you are, no matter how imperfect you are, that carries over, that translates, because it all starts with self. But I'm around some people, y'all. I like to roller skate. And traditionally, at least where I live, roller skaters and roller rinks have attracted some pretty messed up people. Some pretty ugly people in their hearts and their minds. And they're just annoying. It's annoying to be around that kind of energy. It's annoying to be around people who are complaining all the time. It's annoying to be around people who are not looking for the good. So I don't know if like people in the biblical days were just a little bit more on the sunny side of life and looking for things, even though things were pretty bad. They didn't ignore the bad. They didn't pretend the bad wasn't happening. Obviously it was. The leopard, you couldn't pretend that wasn't happening. You know, the cripple could not pretend that wasn't happening. Disabled. I lived with a grandmother who is a ordained minister for a decade of my childhood. And so when words that were implanted when you were small, that's why cripple flew out, but I know it's disabled. And you read it in a Bible, that's why it flies out. Forgiveness, correction, recognition, and correction. It's not like they can just pretend that they're not. They know they're not. They live with it every second, every breath. So were they just looking? They were looking for miracles more, I think, back then, weren't they? Doesn't it seem that way to you, that they were looking for miracles more and more back then and believed in them? And like somewhere along the way, people just gave up. They stopped believing in miracles. They stopped believing in endless possibilities, endless potentials. I was one of them. I did that. I'm not doing it anymore. I know that my body can and has healed everything. Horrible things. Terrible things. It still is. It's in the process of it right now. Opportunities are everywhere. I hear that in Michael Bernard Beckwith's voice in my mind as he sings it in the song that he wrote. And he says it a lot during services. I'm an agape love streamer as well. I want to express myself. I want to let things out. And I want to let the people who've helped me save myself from myself know, while they're still alive, while they're still here, while I'm still here, how they did it. How it happened. How it continues to happen for me, inside of me. They may not mean much to other people, but they mean everything to me. So why not let them know while they're still here? Why not let it out? And maybe these videos will never reach them. It doesn't matter. At least I can say I let it out. I let it out. And it feels so good to let it out. It feels so good to put it out there. It feels so good to let them know, you did this for me. You did this inside of me. You helped to enact this change inside of me. Thank you. And I love you, even though I've never met you. I love everyone, really. I'm a hopeless triple Pisces. Don't have to like everyone, and I don't. But I sure do love humanity. Finally. Because I love myself. Finally. And is there a greater gift than to let someone know that their life is better because you had some kind of influence in it? Is there any greater gift? Is there anything? Is there any amount of money that could ever compare to someone expressing and sharing the truth of how their gift, their words, their art, their being changed someone, moved someone to change, moved someone to think, behave, choose, see, feel differently, to make them want to heal themselves, to make them feel like they are understood and seen in this world, and that they're not alone ever. Can't think of anything that anyone could ever give to me that could be any more meaningful than that could ever have any higher value than that. Thank you for making it with me for 32 minutes. Hopefully I'll have the energy to make another one soon. You are seen. You are felt. You are needed. You are intentional. You matter. You are worthy simply because you exist right here and now. Feel that truth in your ears, in your bones, in your blood, in your lymph, in your life. Because I know you feel it. I know you do. I know you feel my words. I know you feel the intention behind them. And I know you know it's true. You are loved. I love you. Thank you for listening to me and watching this video. Thank you.